everyone, Jaylene here with another energy update, this time for July of 2025. Well, we're on the other side of the summer solstice, which was a huge planetary energetic event. So much light came in. As you know, I've been talking a lot about how we've been releasing and moving through a ton of release energy since the equinox, really even before that, I would say all the way back to the winter solstice. This whole spring and leading up to the summer solstice was all about our reckoning, about creating that divine balance, about letting go of the areas in which we are keeping ourselves into separation and moving closer and closer to unity consciousness. And that's really what this solstice represented. It represented this opportunity to step into higher states of being, higher timelines in which we know ourselves as part of the oneness, as part of a community, a communion, a connection, togetherness. That's where the human race is moving. And we got a big leg up at the solstice to move in that direction. So now we find ourselves on the other side of that. And it's not like the solstice occurred and then suddenly the energy just ramped down and everyone was like, that was intense, but now I feel great. No, actually, it's going to continue to be really, really intense for at least the first couple of weeks in July. And then I feel it's getting a little bit of a plateau, a little bit of a breather, but this is more of a marathon than a sprint. So we're going to take a little breather and then we're going to get right back out there because the energy feels like it's going to continue to just fire hose on through the Earth's atmosphere, our whole consciousness and our whole expression, because the Earth is rapidly moving into a new expression of herself, as we know. Lots and lots of people are talking about this because it's true. It's happening. We can all feel it in our energy field. And the Earth is showing all kinds of signs of this. So not only are we receiving lots and lots of solar plasma waves through all of the solar flares and everything else that's coming to the planet, but our relative place in the orbit around not only our sun, but around the Pleiades is very significant at this moment. We're moving into what the ancient Toltecs called a whole new sun, right? In 2021, we moved into the sixth sun, but it sounds like the effects of that don't really take place fully until the end of 2026. But right now, we are accelerating towards the evolution and towards the embodiment of that sixth sun. So what does that mean? That means what we were talking about, more consciousness, higher timelines, higher levels of community, connection, communion, better care for each other, moving out of just the me, my, self, out of the separation, moving more into the connection. So that's where we are headed as a human species. And all these energy shifts and big blasts of energy that we're getting along the way are just little legs up, little catapults in that direction. So sometimes they don't feel great, but you have to kind of keep your eye on the big picture, which is that it's all moving us in the right direction. And we are moving very rapidly at this very moment in July. So the first couple of weeks are going to be pretty intense on the world stage, especially. So those kinds of things, if you're tapped into them on the daily, can create a lot of anxiety in your body. And you might even notice that normal events in your life are causing you to feel anxiety right now. That is not to be, well, I would say it's not to be ignored, but it's also not to be worried about too much because this is passing. This anxiety that's coming in is basically our body's moment of getting used to holding this much light. So in the solstice, our DNA got a big blast of light and this whole energy around the solstice. So our DNA is learning how to hold more light. When I say learning, what I really mean is that as we are exposed to new frequencies of light and to a higher vibration and a higher frequency, what happens is that our DNA starts to shift and change in response to that. Our DNA is a very responsive system of energy. So it's just like any crystal in that it can feel, it can store, and it can emit energy. And just like any good crystal, our DNA has been kept in the dark. And so this is both metaphor and literal. And right now, our DNA is coming into the light. And any crystal that is exposed to more light is going to hold that frequency. And that's what's happening with our DNA. It's an amazing, massive storage house of information, and it's getting new information. So it's like upgrading our software. Our DNA is like our mainframe, our motherboard. And that software is getting completely updated right now. So that's very exciting. But our body, our physical body, is feeling all this energy coming in. It has to learn how to adapt, it has to learn how to operate with this new frequency. And it's not that easy if you've been spending the majority of your life in a lower frequency and suddenly it gets cranked up. It causes all kinds of anxiety in the body. It feels like we might lose sense of self. It feels like we might just forget who we are, go crazy, what have you. Because that's what used to happen to people when there was so much contrast on the planet. People who were called schizophrenic, or people who were hearing voices, or people who were receiving and feeling a lot of energy from the other side, they were labeled as having a mental issue. Well, they didn't always have a mental issue. What they had was an extreme amount of contrast to the environment that they lived in. But now we don't have such a big contrast when we start to receive all of this divine light and all this spirit essence within us. There's not such a huge contrast here anymore. So it doesn't feel quite as bad, but it still can be a little anxiety provoking. So just try to settle into that, knowing that your anxiety, while absolutely should be acknowledged by you, is also something that is happening because your body's getting used to a whole new energy system. Your DNA is vibrating in a different way, and your nervous system and your immune system is getting a little anxious about that. So it's mounting a little bit of a stress response, and it could come out of nowhere. It could come out of the blue, and you might suddenly start to feel really unsettled in your body, or like you're expanding too fast. These are all just signs of what's going on right now. But that said, if you do feel like something's bubbling up, and I explained this to a friend today, that the energy right now is kind of like getting a shot of CO2 in your body. So it's creating all this bubbling up of energy. And that bubbling up of energy can be what is causing the anxiety, because it feels like it's rising and it's moving a little too fast. And along with bubbles of energy, what it does is it gets things moving, and it can also get some of our old stuck energy moving and bring it up to the surface. Well, the good news is that now that we've moved on to this higher timeline, it moves through us really quickly. And so we don't have to linger on it. We can let go. We can just be unattached to what it is, but just be that observer, be that conscious observer, allow the emotions to arise, accept them, notice them, be with them, feel them. Most importantly, feel them, allow yourself to feel, and then let them go. Because you know what? They don't really belong to you. They're part of a story that you are part of, but that story is rapidly evolving right now. It's rapidly changing. So they're coming up in your effervescence in that CO2, right? They're coming up to be known by you, to be acknowledged and recognized, and then they're just going to poof, puff away with the energy, like just like a soft drink would, or just like any kind of bubbles would. They're just going to fritter away. That's how this energy works now with release. It's very, very rapid. So that's good news. So I wanted to go through a few things that the guides brought to me in response to this big energy that's here right now. And the first is that I've been feeling so much of their energy around me. In fact, just today I connected with a new guide, a beautiful, beautiful guide of, and I want to say beautiful, I mean the energy felt beautiful in my body. It felt so warm and loving, and she really brought a healing to me today. And I say that because each and every one of us has so many spirit guides around us, whether they are your angels, whether they are ascended masters, or your galactic family, or whether they're an elemental or an earth spirit. You know, we all have a lot of these beings around us, but it has been more challenging to feel them in the past. But now with these frequencies in these higher timelines, it's getting easier and easier. So, one of the ways that Spirit has guided me to share with you to open that portal up so that you can feel them, to create a throughway between you and Spirit, is to chant and to use your voice. And as a sound healer, this is something I do on the daily, and it has really, I would say, transformed my energy field and my whole life, really. So I would recommend to you, in addition to whatever other energy practices or meditations that you do in the morning, to definitely include chanting. Chanting Om is very beneficial. You can also tone vowel sounds or sing, but there's something right now about chanting and the chanting the Om, and the other one that came to me was the Om Mani Padme Hum. So that is a Tibetan um, chant that is used, and all of these things open up that gateway to spirit and to the benevolent higher frequencies. So, highly recommend that you do that right now to allow spirit to be known by you, to speak with you, to connect with you, because they certainly want to. There's a lot of energy right now to bring fruition to our goals and what we want to do. But we need to be clear about what those goals are. We need to be clear about what we want to bring about in our lives, what we want more of, what we're ready to let go of. Very important, though, that you're clear with your intentions, that you're speaking those intentions into being, and that you are thinking about them and that you are visualizing them. How do they smell? How do they feel in your body? What do they look like? What is going to happen? Imagine the movie playing out in your mind and put energy towards that. I like to do a Merkaba meditation that I'm familiar with, that I've used for quite a while now, a few years. And I find that that is a fantastic way to amplify my intentions and send them out into the field. But whatever method you like to use, then please do that. And make sure that spirit and this really supercharged energy takes your intentions and it flies on the wind, because there is so much wind right now to take your intentions and turn them into exactly what you are visualizing. Very important. But in order to do that, you need to have a clear vessel. And so there's lots of different ways to keep your vessel clear and clean. And I've always recommended movement and sound and sacred geometry as three different ways that I like to keep my vessel clear. I every morning I go outside and I do qigong, and then I do some sacred geometry movements, and then I do the 5 movements, which are on my website. I do that routine, and while I'm doing the 5 movements, I tone or chant. And I find that that brings me into a clean and clear alignment. And clean and clear is really the word of the day right now, because when energy's moving this fast, if your energy field is not clean and clear, meaning if you're harboring anger, judgment, frustration, worry, and fear in your body for too long, it's going to start affecting you on a much grander scale right now, because everything's becoming amplified right now. When the energy is like this, it amplifies everything in our field. So we want to make sure what we're amplifying is what we want to see more of, what we want to feel more of. We want to feel more gratitude, love, connection, caring, support for one another. So let's focus on those emotions. Let's focus on those ideas and bring more of that into our lives. So again, clean and clear is super important right now. Your divine connection portal right now. Let's talk a little bit about that. So the other things that the guides brought in was to make sure that your divine receptor, which is your crown chakra, is really open and clear right now. So many of us, I think, don't have a good connection between the crown and the rest of the body. So a lot of times energy will just kind of come in and bounce right back out because there isn't a good throughway from the crown down into the body. We always want to draw that energy in and make sure you've got that alignment of energy moving up from the earth and up out through the crown and down from the cosmos, down into the crown and down through the body. It's really important that that whole throughway, that whole bi-directional flow of energy is moving through your body and going all the way up and out of your crown and back down again. And that is something that they've been telling me is super important right now because there is so much of this divine frequency around us. And if it can't get in, then you can't really experience them. And you know what they say about the company you keep. So you want to make sure that you're keeping the company of the divine right now, because that is the highest timeline that we can move on to. And that's the invitation that is being laid at the feet of all of us right now. It's step into your divine potential, step into who you are as the I am presence within you. And so that red carpet rolls out when we have an open and clear crown chakra that is also connected to the rest of our body. And we have the ability to bring the energy into the body, connect it to earth, loop it back up, and get that flow going so that you're able to interpret the energy that comes into the crown. You're able to assimilate it in your body so it doesn't just make you anxious and feel overwhelmed. And instead, it actually integrates and becomes part of your whole person and helps you to feel calm and centered and aware and connected to everything and everyone, because those are all the traits of that divine energy that's here right now. Lots and lots of memory of how we are all part of the oneness. And I think the last thing that they talked about is that there's so much movement right now, so much energetic movement, and it's happening so quickly that sometimes the best way to match movement is with movement. So moving your body and getting into that flow. That's why I really like Qigong right now. There's so much great Qigong that's free on YouTube or in other places on the internet. So just download or start one up. And do it in the morning and feel that flow of energy. It's really simple. It's not about being perfect. It's not about studying this method for 20 years. I mean, you can if that's your bag, but really right now what we really need to do is make sure we've got energy flowing through us. Movement, movement, movement. So match movement with movement, and then you'll be more in that flow and you won't feel so overwhelmed by it right now. So that's really important. And I'm just looking at my notes here because there's a couple more things I wanted to say. Yes, the last thing is when stuff arises in your emotional field, allow it to be there, allow it to flow through. Don't get attached to it. Don't let it get stuck with you. Just let it go with, we're so impermanent. We're here for not that long. And so the hurts and the pain of the past is part of your story, but it's an evolving story, and that story is rapidly changing. And so allow the effervescence of this energy right now to just gently bubble those things away and out of your body, and let go of the attachment to having that be part of your identity. Really step into that knowledge of the I am presence within you and allow yourself to feel that and know that, and make sure you connect with all these fantastic guides that are around us. Be clear with your intentions. And doing all of that right now will really help you feel more aligned and ready to take on being this new human that we're all evolving into. We did sign up for this. We are the transition crew. We came here to be part of the old energy, and we came here to learn how to embody this new energy. No one said it was going to be easy, but we are on the front lines of becoming something completely different from what we were when we were born. Even if you were only born 20 or 30 years ago, you are still becoming rapidly transforming into something that you were not when you were first originally arrived here. So that is very exciting. It can be a little daunting, but hang in there because we're definitely moving in the right direction. And there's so much potential with each and every one of us. No one is exempt from that statement. Every single person here has a huge amount of potential. Just being human, being made up of DNA affords you an incredible amount of potential. So please connect to that potential, enjoy it when you can. Let go of what's going on the world stage right now. It's really intense. It's probably going to remain intense because of all of this energy around us. I think the astrology says it's going to continue to be intense. And that's okay. We have to let go of what all of that means. I mean, obviously, stay vigilant in the areas that you need to stay vigilant in, but let go of the attachment of it meaning more than it actually does to you, because there's so much support around us, so much divine support around us, so much galactic support around us. I do believe we are going to come out of this on top, and that the human race is far from done on this planet. All right, big love to you now. Hang in there for this month. I hope it continues to go well for you. Um, enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. Get out in nature. I'm about to leave on a backpacking trip. I'm very excited about that. Being out in nature right now is one of the best things you can do. I'm going to go spend some time out in the Sierras, communing and connecting with the trees, and the waters there. And oh, I just can't wait. So that's another great thing to do, is to get outside and connect with nature, and let her take care of you. Let Earth remind you of why you came here and all the beauty that she holds. All right, bye for now.